Hi, this is Jeff Allen, and I want to be giving this session kind of a story. I'm going to tell a story about LinkedIn. Is it quality or is it quantity? What of this session is really is LinkedIn, using LinkedIn, and you could apply this to Facebook and to Twitter as well, okay, if we want to. Is it about quality or is it about quantity of connections? Or is it about quality of the relationships with those connections? Um, I think this is a topic that interests many of us. That's why I'm making this video. Why I'm doing it is because it interests many of us, and I see debates on this all the time, okay, in different groups. And I'm going to tell this in a story. I'm not making a presentation or a pitch about this, okay? I'm telling a story of how I have done both in the past 2 weeks with a specific example. And I'm going to tell the different results of that, what I did, because I believe it's both. It just depends on how you do it. Okay. And we'll see this. How I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this in a story format. So if you're coming here thinking that I'm going to do this in 5 minutes, well, you're in the wrong place. Okay. I'm telling a story. And what do we do in storytelling? Our parents told us stories. They didn't tell us a story in 2 minutes before, in 1 minute, 2 minutes. They told us a story, and we listened. Some of our best teachers that we remember, all of us, the best teachers remember are those that told stories, because they made us interested and motivated us rather than just giving content. Just that wasn't always the thing that we remember. It was the story behind it that motivated us. Storytellers in 6,000 of the world's languages. There are more storytellers as parents, as people that tell folklore stories of 6 million languages for, or 6,000 languages for 6 billion people on the planet. Then there are authors and translators that deal with content. So that do communication. There are more that do this orally and tell the story. So I'm telling the story, and I think this is this. And I want you to understand, if you're going to watch this, I'm telling the story format. And I want you to stick around, because I think the story will help describe how quality and quantity are both part of the kind of the framework and the picture, the overall big picture. Who I'm doing it, I'm aiming at. I'm a big networker on LinkedIn and Facebook, but LinkedIn I've got 9,000 connections. There are people get more, but I've used LinkedIn for 15 years, and I've seen this whole quality and quantity debate, and I do both. But I want to give a very specific scenario. I want to give proof here that this has actually happened the past 2 weeks, and I've done both. And it's both. So I just want to explain this. And who's my audience are, all those people that debate the question. So you're just debating the whole question: is it quality, quantity? I mean, you see this all the time. And then when where this is, I'm doing it on YouTube, and then I'll be posting on LinkedIn, obviously. So and they'll be in some group posts or whatever. And when am I doing it here is on the 13th of November in year 2021. So. So quality and quantity. The I want to tell the story of what I did a few weeks ago, because I kept seeing this, and I decided to try out something to see how it would work. So recently, there's been the festival, the Diwali festival in India, or the past several weeks. The exact day I actually don't know, or the days. But there were a lot of I seen Diwali post, Happy Diwali post on LinkedIn and Facebook and all that. And I've got probably 60 contacts in existing contacts in LinkedIn, or at least at that point in time I did. And I decided to send out individual LinkedIn messages, the in-mail messages, to all of my contacts that are from India or in India. Okay. And I decided to send a little Happy Diwali, and the person's name um, in a LinkedIn message. Okay. And I got some replies. Okay, thanks and all that. And I would not be able to have done that if I didn't have those 60 connections. Okay, or how many? Either 15 pages of 4 or 5 connections each, so about 60 connections. First level. I didn't go to the second level at that point. Okay. Then, and then I'll explain some of the results of that a little bit here later. But I kind of wonder how I did this. Then I got some of those results, got some feedback from some of the colleagues, even previous managers and all that. But I'll explain a little bit of those scenarios in a minute. Then I took it to a next level, and I decided that I would look up on LinkedIn. I would search on Diwali. I think I just searched on Diwali, and I searched on among the posts of my first level connections. So what that allowed me to see is all these images of the festival of lights and kind of things, and all these statements of Happy Diwali, all that. And what I did was then I went and made a comment on every one of those posts, and each of the comments of the post of people interacting. And I said also Happy Diwali to each person that even interacted in the post, to the person that wrote the post, and to each of the people that interacted with that post. And that generated a lot of likes. Okay. And even on top of it, I got invitations to connect. People contacted me to invite me to connect with them because I made a Happy Diwali message to them in a public post. And then I took it to a next step. Okay. And the next step was, but I would not be able to do this if I didn't have those existing 60 connections, or actually other connections too in my company that are posting these things, these messages, where then there are other people, not just in our company, but in other people posting the same thing. Oh, Happy Diwali. So this is just happening. It's a snowball effect. Then for the people that contact me to become a connection, and I had a flood of those. Okay, this was not one or two people. This was a flood coming back at me because I was interested in their festival. And I was ignorant of the actual days, of where it came from. I was totally ignorant. It just I'm trying to connect with people here. I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to just offer diversity, inclusion, considering people in another country that have different festivals than maybe what I celebrate traditionally. And I do this at work, so I'm just doing it in a different format, but doing it with people that I do know, and then people that I don't know, but who know the people I do know. And so I had a flood of people for several days coming back to me with that. So I would not be able to do this if I didn't have the quantity. I need the quantity to be able to do this, of the connections. But then that allowed me to take it to a further level of quality. So what I did then was, for every person that connected with me or asked me to connect, and I accepted all the connection requests, then I took it to the next step for every person individually. And this took some time, but this is where quality requires time. And I took the time because I wanted the connection to not just be a vague, nothing. I just want to, if they're going to connect with me right now for this thing, I'm going to take the time to develop that to a minimum amount to show them I just didn't do it for just getting a connection. I did it to go further to a certain point. Okay. Doesn't mean we're doing no business and anything around this. Okay. It's not to sell anything. But what I did was I asked them, I said, I'm a linguist. Okay. And I'd like to know what native language you speak in India other than English. Now, I don't want to go into all the debate about whether English is a native language because they learned it at school or not. I know all this stuff, okay? And one person got back, well, English isn't really a native language. I know this, but I don't want to go in those debates. Okay, this when you do this, you don't want to get in the debate. You just say, I just said, I'd like to know what other language or languages that you speak as a native language other than English in India. And I said the reason why is because I'm a linguist, and I have helped develop or helped put minor other minority languages into systems like Microsoft Translator and Google Translate and Facebook automatic translation, etc. Um, and so I'd like to know from you what your perspective. I just want to know what your language is, and you would not believe the amount of people that responded back. They would say Punjabi, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and give me more and tell me more. And I started learning others like Malayalam. Okay, I think it's Malayalam, if I can pronounce it right. Malayalam, I think it is. Okay, so, and that's from the region of Kerala. Okay, I might be pronouncing this wrong. I'm sorry, but I've been learning this since I've been rereading it. And it was funny is that I started to learn a few others like Marathi and Malayalam. Okay, that's how it is. Then I start getting 2, 3, 4, 5 people telling me. The first one tells me, and I say, okay, so this language you told me about, is it a regional? Is it come from a specific region? There are 5 or 6 that I've heard already, but this other one I've not heard of. Is it from a region, or are there physical geographical boundaries that have caused that language to be different from others? Rivers and bodies of water, or mountains, or forest, or whatever. Or is it a traditional religious influence or view that has caused that language to be distinguished from other ones? And then that led to other people telling me, oh, but this is displaced people groups that came from other countries and other regions, and they came and now they're in the country here. So it's actually coming from the neighboring country, but because they're here, there's a group here in this region, of the neighboring region. So this gets into dialect stuff of neighboring country stuff. I know this, I worked in dialectology. So it's not administrative boundaries that stop a language from being, it's just that it's in 2 different places. Because it's just the people where they live. It doesn't matter what physical location you're in. And like I said, I got a lot of responses back, and people told me what it was. And then I just say, okay. And I asked another question: why is that language spoken? And some people would tell me more, and they want to know more. And I say, hey, thanks. And then I tell them about my invited talk at Microsoft. I say, here's my invited talk at Microsoft about putting, less commonly used languages, minority languages up in translation systems and public online translation systems. I said that I'm supporting just for information. And people come back, wow, this is cool. And then they want to know if I want to do for Indian languages, And I said, well, I'm not probably the best person to do this because there are other institutes doing it. And I know that there are universities that have been trying to do it. The issue is funding. Okay, a lot of it comes down to business justification for doing funding to be able to do this. Sometimes you can do crowdsourcing and all that, but to be able to do this with a lot of data, you've got to have the funding to be able to do it. That's usually just the kind of the restriction, the thing that blocks things. So some of these, so it started as a quality thing or a quantity thing. I needed the quantity to be able to say Happy Diwali, but it turned into a quality thing. And there are some points where, and one person I've also said wrote back and said, not interested, didn't even want to answer the question about what language I spoke. Okay, fine. The person doesn't want to take it any further. They're just part of my quantity network, and they don't want to be part of my quality network. Okay, that's the way it is. But there are a lot of people, and I think I probably in 2 weeks I got an extra 100 connections up top of the 60 I already have. And I don't look at the exact numbers here. I'm not trying to do statistical analysis off my network connections who are in India. Okay, I just kind of feel how many I've responded to. So that was kind of the basic quality and quantity thing. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit further and explain some other specific results to show how powerful the quantity and the quality together will then take it to a further step, okay, and a further level. And this is why it's important to tell the story and not just write it up in a post as an informational post. That's why you're taking time to listen to this. So one of the people that I wrote to that was actually not part of my direct connections. That was one of the people that was probably in one of my Happy Diwali messages in reply to one of my colleagues in my company. The person connected with me, and then and I said, Happy Diwali back, because I got that stuff, and the person said to me, well, it's not really happy for me right now. Ah, he says, I don't have a job. Ah, so I say, how can I help? So I'm thinking the quantity aspect, I can help with the quantity of finding person help with them. Well, it happens to be that this person, Vinu, and I'm going to tag his name down at the bottom here, and I want all of you to connect with him. All of you to connect with him so you can help him get a job. Do it. Take action. Okay? But I'm explaining this to what happened here. Take action. Call for action. Connect with him. If you don't have enough connection requests, you've used them up for the week, send him an email and ask him to connect with you, and he'll do it. Okay? So do it. Vinu. His name's down in the tag in the bottom of this post. Okay? But this is going to appear. He said that he would look. Now, he happened to be, he was at the current company I'm at right now. So that's how he was somehow in my second level connections. And he left to go to another job. He left for a better opportunity. And when he arrived, he's got 18 years of sales experience, so tons of great experience, okay, sales. And he arrived at the company, and the team and the department got closed down, okay. This happens. You get an offer, and then bam, things happen. And on top of it, this happened immediately before COVID hit, COVID-19, right before. So you can imagine the catastrophe, a job change snafu, and COVID hits, okay? And there's like no jobs anywhere because now everyone for the past 2 years has been focusing on how to keep their current employees employed with internal jobs, but they're not hiring people externally for the key jobs, which he's looking for. And so it's been really tough for him to find another job where he's going to go look at his profile. Okay, this is like an impressive profile. So even I discussing this. And so what I've been doing over the past 2 weeks is targeting people in my quantity network, okay, 9,000 contacts that I know specific people that are in positions in companies that can then take a look at his resume and CV, okay? And I'm targeting people, and so I'm making very targeted emails to people that I know that are recruiters, to people that I know in, and not just the industries he's working in, but other industries, different industries. And that's been, it's taken some time. You got to customize those emails. They got to be really carefully thought through. This is not a 5-minute deal. You just don't send these off. You got to really think about, and have those people gone through mergers and acquisitions of their companies, job changes too, or have there been management takeovers, and so now you got new people that I don't know, but I know the co-founders, so I got to get another relationship created there, so I can talk to the person, the new CEO, or the new CEO, or the CTO, to ask for who's the right contact to do recruiting for Vinu. Okay. And this has gotten Vinu and I to get to know each other much better. I really know him well. now. I know what his skills are. I know what it is, and he knows me. Um, and 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 now we are getting the right people in contact with him. Some people say there aren't things open. Some people, the headhunters, are saying it's not. There just aren't jobs in this specific field for that kind of level, or in that country, or wherever he's at, or if he wants to really good. These things, are just the way it is. But we are getting traction on the people that have been targeted, and they say, okay, and that's based on, and it's not just quantity, it's quality, because I'm targeting people. I'm targeting specific people that I have known for 15 or 20 years, okay? That we've been at conferences together, we've talked, been at lunches, have talked in person, have been in panel discussions together as experts on different topics. I've invited them to come at conferences that I've organized or sessions I've organized and virtual conferences or whatever. So there has been a relationship established with a lot of these people at different levels over a period of 15, 20 years. And now I'm targeting specific people. And some of them will respond with different answers depending on what the situation is currently with them, and whatever. So it's quantity and quality. If I did not have the quantity of the number of people on my LinkedIn, I wouldn't be able to go searching on company name and who's there. Oh, so-and-so that I know is there, or is now there and wasn't there before, or is still there. And I've discovered, some people I had totally forgotten are in the company. Okay. So now I can target those people, to be able to find who can put me in contact with the right person in their company to be able to consider his resume and CV. Okay. And cover letter. And do you have to put it in an online system, or it kind of can be in different ways. But we just need to know. And sometimes it's putting it through. Sometimes it's actually just people telling him, here's a link of where you need to apply for the job in the system. But then what I want to know is someone in the company, so I can tell the person in the company to go look at the job application, to follow up on the job application. Because what I want Vinny to get I want him to land some interviews. Okay. That's what I wanted to happen. And we're moving the needle. Okay. We're moving the needle on this over the past 2 weeks to where there was nothing. And now he's getting some answers, and we got some job applications. He's got some job applications in process. And now we're following up on those with the people. And now we're getting new people, other people to say who's the best person in the company to talk to apply. Okay. It might be just that simple. So it's quantity and it's quality. And I've explained how both of those come into play. And that's, it's both. Okay. So for Vinu, go connect with him, take action, connect with him, help him find a job. Okay. Get to know his resume and CV. It's all on LinkedIn, and tell him about jobs people that you may know that can help him get a sales job in business development sales. Okay. And software mainly. And I've been looking at it, but go take a look at it. I'll give another example where the quality aspect comes into play, which affected me personally 13 years ago. So I came from a sales job previously. I'd worked in R&D before. I went to a sales job, did 2 years of that, did pretty well with it, but it just wasn't my thing that I want to do long term. Okay. So I applied for a job in my current employer, and I applied based on referral of someone in the company to say, hey, Jeff, there's a software testing manager job in this company. And so I applied, and I was on vacation when the reply came back that they wanted to interview me. I was on vacation with my family, so I had to leave vacation early to come to meet with the HR representative, because you don't say no to that. You go when you're looking for a position, you meet you make the sacrifice and go have the interview. So I did that, and then it went to a next level. I'm based in France, so that the people that were making the decisions are based in India at the time. So now the Indian thing comes back into play. Okay, here, the Happy Diwali will come back to play in a minute. And uh, so I had a phone interview with one person. Um, I believe it was Vani, and had a phone interview with her about performance and scalability testing, my background in that, testing departments and running test departments, setting them up, and all that kind of stuff. Then I had to have an in-person interview uh, with two other colleagues and bosses of hers. That would have been Mangala and Shinam. And and so we had an in-person interview because they were visiting France, and so we had an in-person interview. So I went in and met with them. And I can't remember if I met with them once or twice. Okay, so this was a several layer interview process for a position. And in the end, uh, I believe it was Shinam was the one that responded back to me. She was the one that responded back to me. And I can't remember if it was in person or in an email. And it may have been in person. And I think it was I'm pretty sure it was in person, because I remember it so clearly and distinctively. This is so incredible what she did. She said, "Jeff, you are not the right person for this position." And you can imagine my just heart, just like, oh, I've been wanting to get into another position, um, and I want to sleep again. And she says, but you would be good for another position, not the one we have in France in this team, but for a different position, for a different project manager job of customer validation, basically for all the different products for kind of a beta testing, or even beyond that with customers, but in another team that's based in Germany. And do you want to move? And I said, no, I will not relocate. My family is here. I don't want to relocate. This is not something you say at this point, that level of a stage of thing. You don't say no, okay? But I said no, for family reasons, okay? And there's a family history that I'm not going to go into all that of why, but that's, we all make decisions, and where COVID is now teaching us to make decisions. And I was making decisions 10 years ago and saying no sometimes. And so she says, okay, well, she says, that she was going to go ahead and contact the person in that department that managed that team, because that team was under her, like 2 levels down. So she said, she was going to go ahead and put me in contact with that person to pursue the opportunity, even if it's not in Germany, not here in France. And so then we went through the cycle of that, and Olaf was the manager of the team, and then Raju was another colleague in the team, who evaluated my resume CV, and we went through a few iterations of that, and it was pretty clear that I was a good candidate. And again, I didn't want to move to Germany, so they transferred the job to France. Okay, they transferred the job to France, and it all worked out. And I'm still at the company again 13 years later. I'm still here, and I do remember that Olaf did put a recommendation about my LinkedIn profile, saying that he never regretted the day he hired me, and that's provided value to the company I'm in, and even if the different positions I moved on to within the company. And then I want to add is, based on this, what I've just explained about the being told that there's another position for that I was not as qualified as they wanted for the position I had applied for, but they were offering me another opportunity for a different position. I mean, how many managers do you know that would have done that? I have this is just very uncommon. Okay. That some will, well, they happen to have it, and and she now had several departments under her, so she had visibility of different jobs that were happening and being. But how many people would have taken? How many managers or directors or vice presidents would have taken the time to really read through and interview the person through several levels to the point where, and getting to know the person's skills, getting to know my skills, not what was just written on the paper, and I did a pretty good job, I think, of doing that, um, but actually understanding the skills and taking the time through the several interviews with different people and to, consolidate all that, and discuss internally, and then take it and say, Jeff, you're not, even though you're not good for this, you would be great for that job over there. I mean, how many people would do that, folks? Um, I don't know many. Um, and that's why I think that Shinam is just a great manager. Okay. Um, that she took it the extra mile and she made it possible for me to get another job in the company where my value would be even better than the job that I was applying for. And it did happen. And that the result did happen as exactly as she had envisioned. um, so, folks, another thing is when you're evaluating candidates, take the time to get to know your candidates. Um, don't try to figure out everything in a 5-minute thing. And I've had other other people in the company, and when I changed roles, sometimes I'd say, do you want to see the short version or the long version? I've had some of my potential managers say, I want to see the long version, and that benefited them because then they got to see the many different skills that I had, and not just the ones that maybe in the team that I was just coming from, but other things, and that helped them to to understand how they could really use me to make their team shine. Yeah, and that has happened, and I've always appreciated when they do it. But Shinam, you just really did a great job, and I thank you, Magal and Vani, to participate in that as well, and Zolaf and Raju. And I'm really glad where I'm at, and it's thanks to you. For having made that possible in the beginning, and then the rest of it was, up to me to kind of to make it happen afterwards. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so but these several other colleagues that I've mentioned throughout this, this cycle of interviews, some of them from India, and so we've been doing that. I've been saying Happy Diwali to each of them, and then going back and reestablishing contact, even if they moved on to even other companies, and this is again about how the quantity thing is not the only part of it. It's about quality too. And sometimes it just be about reconnecting with 5 colleagues from those early day teams of when I came to the company. We've all moved on to different roles and things, and different, maybe sometimes in the same company, and some have moved on to other companies. But it's just kind of reestablishing the contact, because maybe they will be able to help in the other situation where I'm helping Vanu try to get a job. And so that networking and keeping the contact up through a simple just message of Happy Diwali, is this is where it's the power of LinkedIn or just networking, in general, can bring about results that are unfathomable. And I believe that this story, and it's taken 30 minutes to take the story, and I thank you for all of you for listening this long. But I hope that the story motivates you to understand that it's not only about quality, and it's not only about quantity. It's both, and it kind of depends on the situation. And I've given a couple of different examples that have happened over the past 2 to 3 weeks, where both come into play in different ways. But I needed both of them, both quality, quantity, and quantity. If I quantity and quality. If I only had one, it wouldn't have worked. If I only had 5 connections in LinkedIn, then none of this would have happened. Okay, and I would not be helping Venu, and I wouldn't be whatever. And if I only had, so that's if I didn't have the quantity. If I didn't have the quality, uh, then I wouldn't be able to pursue specific people and target specific people to be able to uh, 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 try to land an interview, okay, with him, for him. It's both, folks. Um, Now, you might have some specific reasons why the quality one is only good for you in a niche area. That's great. Okay. You might have specific reasons why the quality aspect is only good for you. You don't want to have quality relationships for it either. That's great. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not, I'm not saying that, I'm saying that both are important and you can take each of them to the extent you want to. But if I did not have the quantity, then I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. And if I didn't have the quality, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm right now doing to help you. And that's the story. So again, connect with him, help him find a job um, in a difficult situation right now in India, where the pandemic continues to have its catastrophic, the difficult situation, and people can't find jobs, at least in the jobs they're looking for. Okay, so do it, folks, and please feel free to give feedback on the video here. And if I'm completely off track, let me know. Okay, your opinion. I'm willing to receive your feedback. Um, but thanks for taking a little time to listen to my story. And that's storytelling is where it's out. And if I tried to do this writing out a post, you would have all said too long, don't read, didn't read. But if you listen to the video, then you've taken the time to listen, because hopefully it's interesting enough to attract your attention, and the story is enough, maybe empathetic, and relates to you enough to want to take action to do something about the story I've told. So, and you know what to do with it. Great. Have a good day. Stay safe, and just thank you very much.